When deploying a change management strategy for digital transformation, most organizations overlook the most important change strategies that are most likely to make a project successful. But what exactly are those most overlooked change strategies? That's what I want to talk about here today. My name is Eric Kimberling. I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting. We're an independent consulting firm that helps clients throughout the world with their digital transformation journeys. And change management is one of the services we provide to our clients. And change management is actually an area I started my career in back in the late 90s. So I've been doing change management amongst other things for a long time, as has our team. And one of the things we find is that people oftentimes don't understand what exactly change management is. Either they have a very myopic, limited view of change management, such as training and communications being the extent of change management, which is not true, or they just have a very vague, ambiguous shotgun approach to change management, which isn't the right answer either. But rather than taking a random approach to change management and seeing what sticks, it's important to look at the most important things and the most overlooked strategies that are most likely to help make your project successful, and that's what I want to talk about here today. Now, before I dive into those 5 overlooked strategies for change management, I also encourage you to download our guide to organizational change management. It's a best practices white paper that covers tips and lessons learned and other best practices to help you in your change management journey and to help you incorporate change management into your digital transformation journey. So I encourage you to download that via the links below. The first most overlooked change strategy within digital transformations is an organizational assessment. And the reason organizational assessments are so important is because it helps you be more prescriptive and focused in how you deploy change management in your organization. It's important that you don't take a randomized approach to change management or take a one-size-fits-all approach to change management. What's important is that you create a change strategy and plan that really fits your unique situation, where you are today and where you're headed in the future. And one of the best ways to draw that out is through an organizational assessment. What the organizational assessment also does is it helps you identify the cultural nuances of your organization. It helps you proactively identify where the likely sources of resistance are going to be within the organization and where the most challenging parts of the transformation are going to be from an organizational perspective. So that organizational assessment is super important to helping provide some input into creating a strategy that's tailored for your needs. And typically, when we do organizational assessments, we have 2 aspects of it. One is an anonymous employee survey that gathers quantitative data, and then we have a series of qualitative focus groups that we do to gather that qualitative information. And we combine the data sets from those 2. We benchmark to other organizations, and we look at what is unique to that organization, and we use our experience to determine where we think the most resistant parts of the organization are going to be and where we really need to focus our time and effort. And it also gives us better input to understand what sorts of tactics are going to work best from a change management perspective. So that organizational assessment is a commonly overlooked but very critical part of an effective change management strategy. The next most overlooked aspect of change management is the change impact assessment. And what a change impact assessment is essentially looking at job by job and department by department, business location by business location, what the differences are between the way things are today and the way things are going to be in the future. And this is really important, and I can't emphasize enough how often this is overlooked and how important this activity is. The reason it's so important is because when you go to train people and communicate to them on what their new job is going to look like, you have to do it in the context of where they are today and help them connect the dots from what they understand and the nomenclature they use today, the systems and the spreadsheets they use today. You have to connect the dots between that and what it's going to look like in the new technological and business process environment. Without that, you're shooting in the dark. You're guessing as to what it is you're going to communicate. And it's not enough to simply say, this is what the future state's going to be, here's the new technology, go have at it, and good luck. We need to be much more thoughtful about it and much more deliberate in terms of how we help transition people from current state to future state. And the only way we can do that is by doing a change impact assessment. Now, the best time to do this change impact assessment is during the design or blueprint phase of your digital transformation. In other words, when you and the project team are defining what the future state business processes are going to be, that's a great time to then do a gap analysis between that future state design of what the processes and technologies are going to be versus what they are today. And if you can be part of that discussion and part of those workshops, that's probably the best time and place to capture and start to document and understand what the change impacts are going to be. Another commonly overlooked change strategy that's very important to digital transformation success is organizational design. And organizational design essentially defines how job roles and responsibilities are going to look in the future and what the org chart's going to look like in the future as well. If you're doing your job right and the digital transformation is adding the value that it should, it's going to impact people's jobs. It's going to change their day-to-day roles. It might change their reporting relationships. It might change their understanding and visibility of different parts of the business. And it's probably going to rock people out of their comfort zone of what they're used to. So having a clear vision of what that organizational design is going to be in the future is super important. And again, it's not enough just to train people on how to use technology. If you want to get the real business value out of this large investment that you're making in technology, you want to make sure that you understand and articulate to people what their jobs are going to look like. And the problem with many technology deployments is that organizations don't think this through. They don't think through what we're going to do with Susie's job, or the 40% of Susie's job that we're now automating, or that spreadsheet that Johnny was using to run his part of the business for the last 20 years. We're taking away that spreadsheet, but what's Johnny going to do in this new world? And the reason it's so important is because we have to have that clarity to get the value that we expect out of the investment in new technologies. But just as important, Johnny and Susie and other people within the organization need to have that clarity as well, or else they're going to panic and they're going to start to resist change. So you look at why people resist change. Oftentimes it's uncertainty and lack of clarity, lack of vision, lack of understanding of why we're doing this and what my job is going to look like in the future. So as part of your change management strategy and plan, you want to make sure you have an organizational design work stream to address these and other activities. I've talked in the past about how many organizational change strategies focus on training and communication. Those are two very important work streams within an overarching change management strategy, but they're just two very small parts of the overall change strategy. What's even more important than just training people on how to use technology is to focus on user adoption. Not only do they know how to use the technology, but have they embedded the business processes and the use of the technology into their DNA and into their comfort zone. So in other words, we don't want to just give them a one-time classroom training and hope for the best when go live comes around. We want to make sure that we've really focused on user adoption and actually measuring user adoption too, not just what they do in a classroom, but measuring what they actually do within a system in a test environment or a training environment as well. So digital adoption tools are a great way to address this risk and this challenge that organizations have from a human perspective. For example, at third stage, we have a digital adoption tool that's technology agnostic that can be used with any sort of technology to provide sort of tutorials and online guidance and show-me's on how to go through a certain transaction or process, so that even in a go-live environment, you've got these digital adoption tools that can help provide ongoing support for people to get stuck or forget how to do something, or perhaps they weren't trained appropriately or they forgot from training. These digital adoption tools can be a good stopgap and a good way to provide ongoing support during an implementation. And even leading up to go live, these digital adoption tools can be a great way to understand and measure how well people are adjusting to the new business processes and understanding those new business processes. Now, the final overlooked change strategy that I want to talk about here today is benefits realization and optimization. And the interesting thing about this is a lot of organizations have no idea that benefits realization and ROI is somehow tied to change management, but it absolutely is. In other words, when we're doing change management activities, we're not doing it just to feel good or to do kumbaya and to make everyone feel good about their place in life. We're doing it because we want to add real business value to the organization. And if we can't connect those dots, then people are going to question the value of change management, and they're probably not going to focus much on it. So benefits realization and optimization is a great way to not only ensure that change management is adding value, but to ensure that the overall transformation is adding value. And the way we tie benefits realization back to change management is to tie user adoption and user acceptance of the new technologies to an ROI and to a business benefit business case that we've presumably defined as part of our justification process. So when you're thinking about change management strategies, even though it's overlooked, even though a lot of organizations don't do it, it's really important to tie those activities to ROI, business value, business optimization as well. So I hope this has provided you some guidance on how to be more effective in your change management strategies by understanding some of these commonly overlooked strategies that most organizations don't do. And that is a big part of why so many digital transformations fail, is because they overlook some of these change strategies that we've talked about here today. For more strategies and tactics and best practices within the realm of change management, I encourage you to download our Guide to Organizational Change Management, which is a very extensive white paper that talks about best practices, tips, lessons learned, and other tactical ways that you can make change management a part of your successful digital transformation. I've included a link to that as well as other change management resources that I think will help you in your transformation journey via the links below, so be sure to check that out. So I hope you found this information useful and hope you have a great day. And the problem with technology deployments,
what is the problem?
I don't know. I'm going to think of it really quick. Looked change management strategies. I hate that intro. Let's do that over. I am just rambling. So rather than taking is scattershot a word? Scattershot's a word, right? Scattershot approach, like kind of random. We're doing this, and what my job's is by doing something is organizational design. Okay. Way to preserve the I love when I have words and I'm just like trying to buy time. Let me just add another word to the sentence, and maybe I'll figure out, and then I get to a dead end and I can't remember what I was going to say.